The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
As Bryan Reynolds,
last night,
his big contract extension here, the first 9-figure deal in Pirates history, a little just over $100 million for Bryan Reynolds over, I believe it was 6 years. I'm making this up as I go. But either way, big time money, big time extension for Pittsburgh and for Bryan Reynolds. Brandon, opening takes, and is Bryan Reynolds and this contract good for baseball?
Well, we've certainly done a lot on Bryan Reynolds in the past, and go and check out those YouTube clips of it for sure. But what I have to say regarding Bryan Reynolds and this contract is I am happy that he is staying loyal. I am happy that the Pirates were able to satisfy his and his agent's needs regarding this deal. And it's really good to see a team like Pittsburgh actually giving out a contract to one of their homegrown, really good players, LJ, because this has been our big problem with the A's, who we've talked about a lot, and of course the Nationals trading away a lot of their or really their entire team. So yeah, LJ, I am actually proud of the Pirates here for once, and proud of Bryan Reynolds for getting his bag, because he's a great player.
Yeah, great for him to get his bag. I'm going to go on the opposite here in terms of this contract being good for baseball. On its surface level, this is 100%, what we've been wanting, what we've been asking for is for these small market teams to actually realize spending money makes money, and being loyal to your stars is going to pay off in the end. So just give them the money that they need and the money that it takes to keep them. We've been asking that from these teams all along. But I look at this on the surface level, great. Deeper than that, this looks like it could be a hot mess down the line. This is the first 9-figure deal in Pittsburgh Pirates history. That's a huge
Good.
Yeah, that is good. But it's a huge set of expectations, and almost set expectations that are doomed to fail and doomed to fail the team, almost intentionally fail the team is really what I'm trying to get at here. Because I have a feeling, an inkling, that we're going to look at this Pirates team 2-3 years down the line. Now, they may have a very impressive season going here, and honestly, I think that's a fair place to take this whole conversation and this topic is, what do we expect out of Pittsburgh this year? I mean, clearly, in my eyes, they're 7 deep in terms of position players who are playing really well right now. I'm not sure how many of those guys are going to keep things up. Do we expect Andrew McCutchen to keep up this type of play here? I mean, 5 home runs, 270, 371, 527. Do we expect a full year out of Rodolfo Castro? There's some guys in here that kind of are eyebrow raisers, and the 8-9 spots in this whole bench isn't doing anything to move the needle either. Rotation, great. Bullpen, they always find a way to be solid. So they have clearly some good chances to compete, or at least be in the wild card race coming down the stretch of this season with the roster that they've built right now. And this will make a great play too for them as they try to, keep the team motivated. Like, hey, look, we got this guy back. We're all in on competing. Let's go. That's kind of the mentality that they're looking at in the short term. But what, again, as I was saying before, really I struggle with is this long term, where 2-3 years down the line, this group isn't meant to last. And when they don't last, you're going to expect them to keep trying to compete if they compete once. And they're going to, I guarantee you, we will hear the words, this Bryan Reynolds contract is too much of a hindrance on our payroll for us to be able to make the moves that it takes to be competitive, or something along those lines. They'll use this as an excuse, I'm telling you right now, to justify making less moves in the future. What's the word I'm looking for here? They're keeping the fan base happy. They're gonna placate all the people who say, "Oh, they don't spend any money. Look, we just spent 9 figures," and now they're gonna let it ride for at least the whole 7 years, if not 8 or 9.
So this is kind of similar to like what the Rockies tried to do with Nolan Arenado, right? Would you say? Because in that case, it was the Rockies saying, "Okay, we're going to give you a huge deal, but then we're also going to give you an opt out, so that way you'll look like the bad guy if you do end up opting out." Like, right? Isn't that exactly what they did?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes and no, because I think this is clearly more of a Bryan Reynolds wanting the opt out because he knows he'll probably be worth more as he expands in his game. Because the opt outs where, Brandon, after year 5.
Good question. I don't know. I think that I don't, is there an opt out in this deal?
I assumed there was an opt out.
Does not have an opt out provision, but does have limited 6-team no trade clause.
Oh, interesting. Either way,
No opt out.
well, either way, he's still going to be in good position for another contract here. But if he'd wanted an opt out, I understand that because 3-4 years down the line, he's going to be a lot more valuable than he is right now. I think there's more to come from Bryan Reynolds. And once he has, once you have 3 solid seasons, which he definitely has here, I mean, you're talking about all-star caliber player 2021, 2022, really good. And this 2023 season looks to be an improvement on last year. I would stand to reason to believe he's going to be worth more towards the end of this contract. It's just a matter of will the roster be worth more?